Welcome back. We have more conversation, and we're gonna dive a little bit deeper this time. So hold on to your chairs, because it's gonna get real and fast.
I'm really interested to know what it is that we want.
We are all related. We are all related to every other human being on this planet genetically. If you see anybody out there, the white camera girl is a 50th cousin to me. We family.
We would know. She's like looking at me.
What I'm saying is, what I want is everyone to realize there's a shared humanity. That we are all human. We all come from the same God, and we're going back to that same God as brothers and sisters. And right now, the way that people are treated on this earth, not just us, but there's other ethnicities that have been oppressed and genocides and things like that, it's because they have not seen each other as human.
There is a fine line between having someone see and as a result, either them feeling empowered or guilty. We have no control over that. Outside of us saying, understanding this blindness, I need to be a little careful in how I move forward. Instead of putting up walls when I speak, I want to open up ears. And that's a tough balance for the average African American who's filled with so much anger and sadness and trauma and frustration. We're filled with all of that, but yet we are tasked to speak in a way so people can hear us and see us.
We can do more today than we've ever done before. We have opportunities. This group right here, we can do things that we come together and start thinking, what can we now do to give our kids a better opportunity for jobs or for businesses? We can come up with ideas, and that's what we're lacking. Instead of waiting for somebody else to come up with a solution, why don't we start right here? I mean, we have so many different diverse ideas and different ideologies, but we can come together because our end game is exactly the same. We want our kids, man, to be the greatest in the history of mankind. We can do that.
I want people to realize that Tom Reed is a brother to them. And because I'm your brother, I will help you through thick and thin. I will be there for you. I will support you. I will create opportunities for you. And that we all do that together. I think the big word is unity. Right? That's what I want.
My thing is this. On the one end, it seems to me that the older generation is saying, hey, do something. What are you going to do? The younger generation comes out and says two things. Why is that my responsibility? Mm-hmm. Or take me as I am, or don't take me at all. Mm-hmm. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And so I'm in the middle here, and I don't know. At times I am here, I'm like, yeah, I should do something. But is that really my responsibility to educate every white person in America about Black history? Is that my responsibility?
You have the responsibility to teach those that you have
Influence.
influence on. When I say that, I don't mean like you should go running up and go Black Lives Matter, but you should go up and say, why don't you ask me how I feel?
Because probably I'm right in the middle of the two generations here. I'm older than I look, because black don't crack. But I think what the problem is, and especially like for us here in Utah, there's so few of us that when we tell our story, people take our story as if it's true. Everybody's story in Utah, and people will elevate your story if it matches the narrative that they want to hear. So we have to be careful when we say all lives matter, even though we know what we mean by that. We have to be careful, because then that becomes a 5-second soundbite. Well, this Black person in Utah said all lives matter. So you know what? I have a Black friend that said all lives matter. So y'all need to chill out with the Black Lives Matter. But when we look at it from a generational standpoint, these names that are hashtags, they're not the names of our parents and our grandparents. Those are people who rode the bus with us. Those are people who lived in our neighborhoods. And those might have even been like students that some of us taught. So this movement, this Black Lives Movement, really belongs to this generation, and I don't know that my parents or grandparents, parents told them like not to march in the civil rights movement, not to say, you know, we shall overcome or whatever, because our Black Lives Matter is your generation's we shall overcome.
The way that we get ahead is appreciating everything we've gone through, recognize how far we've come, and know that we have people in our history done so much, gone through so much more than we've ever thought about, and they did it. They overcame it. If they can overcome it then, we can overcome it 2020. And we just can't let people tell us what we can't do and they divide us. So again, so put that out there, guys.
All of our lives matter. Let's just call it for this. Everyone's lives, but at the same time, we have to focus on these lives to get them up to the same level of equality as all lives matter.
I love that.
Okay.
So to me, I feel like our fight is against. I have 4 children, three sons and a little daughter, and I tell my son, like my mother told me, and who I identify with you when you said your mom worked 3 jobs and she's still poor. My parents decided. I grew up in Compton, California, okay, and it's everything you see on TV, right? But they decided to do something different. So my mom wore the same thing in church every Sunday, black skirt, white, and it wasn't because, and I'm not, I'm in the minority of the guys who are not a part of the church, right? But it doesn't matter. We have faith. But if we're all fighting, that's why I asked, what do we want? Because out front, we have to fight the same fight. We have to fight for equality. We have to fight for the opportunity that the next person gets. And somebody says, well, you have that opportunity. Well, that's not all the way true. We don't always have that opportunity. And if we do, it comes at a greater cost. And that's something, that's not an excuse, that's a fact. I think that it's important to understand what lane where you're supposed to fight, right? I think it's important that we fight in the world. I think it's important that we peacefully protest on the streets. But all I'm saying is, publicly, our narrative has to be the same or it's ineffective.
Just how you articulated it opened my eyes. Like, it's yes and, right? I love your thought. We've all got to be fighting the same fight for the same reason, right? But the way Dwayne does it is different than the way Tom does it. And it's because of it has to be. We have to fight it. So it's yes and. Yes, we want equality. Yes, we want to give our kids hope. Yes, we want to, and we are going to do it our individual way.
People making fun of me and saying I'm not black enough because I go on on TV and I say certain things about white people that I love. But then those 3 white people, one of them who was an old guy who grew up in a certain way, as racist as you could ever believe, said, I need to hear that from you. Did you need to hear that? No. That wasn't for you.
Mm-hmm.
But that was for that person, and all of a sudden now, that's one down.
Where we are today, we're not where we were then. Those men and women did it in those days because they weren't victims. Matter of fact, their idea, let me just say this. Their focus is very simple as this. Show me why, tell me that I can, and I'm going to prove to you I can.
You're saying things that my father would want to say to me one-on-one. And I think you're saying things that we should know, but one-on-one. Like to your son. And I think it's because it's in an open forum, or that it feels like it's not for me. And so I now hear you for what you're saying, because I know what you lived through, and I know that you're saying, we did it. We did it. You guys can do it. So quit all the excuses. You can do it. And I appreciate that, but just know that when you say that in that public forum, it's like a kick in the back. Because hold on. Because I don't think you're wrong. Statistics, I don't think that's your strong point. But I will say, I don't think you're wrong. I just think that when I know that I've experienced so much racism and so much hardship to where when you talk about pull your bootstraps, just get out there and do it. My parents moved to the hood for a period in our life. And for whatever reason, that hood stayed with me more than my brothers. My family got degrees. I graduated and I was homeless, and I didn't even think college, I couldn't even, like, you don't understand. I didn't even see that as an option. I was working my tail off, homeless, like I'm gonna run this game. But that's as far as I saw. How stupid is that? But that was my limit. So just know that there's people out there working hard, but they just can't see. And it wasn't until somebody helped me see that all of a sudden this world opened up. So I just want you to know that people are trying, but sometimes they just can't see it. You know what I mean?
So I remember coming home. I'd just been working, did a gig, and really, really tired. I just remembered having this strong impression that I needed to pray as I was coming home, that I needed to pray. And then when I stopped, I just kept getting this feeling, this uncomfortable feeling, saying, don't stop, keep praying. So as I'm driving, just praying, driving, I'm praying, driving, I'm praying. And I pull into my cul-de-sac, and it's a beautiful, hot, sunny day. Pull into my cul-de-sac, and my neighbor, who's a white man, who is standing over my wife, screaming obscenities at her. And my kids are in the cul-de-sac, and they're all crying. Every single one of them. I've got 6 kids out there just bawling their eyes out. What would you do? I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And what was crazy about it is I got out of my car, and I'd never felt so calm in my life. I walked out. I said, what's going on? Then he just threw all these obscenities at me and, talked about our kids. And then he just started getting more and more irate, telling me to go back to my own country. And you Nigerians don't do things the way we do and stuff like that. If the Lord didn't inspire me to pray over and over and over and over again, and when I stopped, he says, you got to keep going, I don't know where I would be today. All I know is that I thank God for the power of prayer.
I've worked 2 jobs my whole life. Recently retired as a law enforcement officer. My son passed away of suicide in November. He had a 4.0 GPA in college, in high school, and everything, and he never felt that he fit in. He's raised by 2 parents that worked hard, that taught him to be respectful and kind and do all the things right, but he never felt that he fit in. And what I want is for every child of color to be able to fit in society, not be isolated, even though they're doing their best, that they are valued, they are treated as anyone else. They come to the table with their gifts, their talents, and their creativity, and not be called dirt, not be called the N-word, and not have a teacher say, oh, well, you say it to each other, so it's okay, right? Like kids are being isolated, kids are being segregated in new technological ways, even though they are working hard and doing the best they can in the society that we have given them. So that's what I want, not for my children that are still alive, for every other child, that they are not isolated or ignored or marginalized, but in the process of doing their best and working hard, that they are valued like every other kid in society.
I want to invite each one of you to remember there are times in life it might be hard to change people. And sometimes it's not even our job, but the only thing we can do is to change this little part around us to be better husband, better citizen in our neighborhood, better human being. So I feel like for me, the whole thing that is going on right now, it reinforced me to love my beautiful wife, my beautiful children more and more every single day. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that truly matters to me is my home. And if I can make a difference inside of my home, the world will be better. And if we all can do that together, imagine what can happen. And I'm so grateful for the chance I have to be where I am today, to be able to be part of the change, because my children, my grandchildren, they will be so happy because their dad stood up for something that is right. And thanks for watching, and thanks for being part of this change.
We would all like to thank you for joining us through this series. If you're asking yourself, so now what do I do? Simply share this on your socials. Allow our friends and families to learn from these open, honest conversations.